What's up? What's up, everybody? It's Tuesday, so Castback Jets are back, and we have a little bit of news across Major League Baseball, not necessarily with the Braves as of yet. Surprisingly, we did not protect anyone that is eligible for the Rule 5 draft. Everybody's a bit surprised by Blake Berhalter. Could have been a reliever, possibly for the bullpen. It's likely that somebody takes a shot at him, probably because of his good numbers with the Braves. But we obviously have some sort of plan. So I'm not going to overreact too much to that. It was also the qualifying offer deadline, and we had 4 people accept the qualifying offer. Brandon Woodruff of the Milwaukee Brewers, Trent Grisham, very surprising for the New York Yankees, Shota Imanaga for for the Cubs, and Gleyber Torres for the Detroit Tigers. Now the qualifying offer is $22.05 million, so not really a surprise that some people would. That's just a lot more than we usually, than we usually see. 4 is probably double what we usually see. There's 1 or 2 here or there. But the non-tender deadline should be interesting tomorrow. Trades and things possibly could happen. And with us not protecting any of the guys for the Rule 5 draft, you could see some of those guys in trades. Possibly. So a lot of things are still yet to be determined, but the non-tender deadline should be interesting and create some other opportunities for a roster. It is interesting with a new staff. I don't really have a picture of who we would go after, so to speak, with the pretty much completely new pitching philosophy. With the new guys, I don't know exactly what they're going after, but it's very interesting to possibly to think about that, because you've got Jeremy Hefner and from the Mets and JP Martinez. Now I really hope, nothing against Frankie Montas, but I really hope that's not the case. I don't know about Ha-Seong Kim. He's probably the second best shortstop option on the free agent market outside of Bo Bichette. And with Bo Bichette's projected numbers at 186, I don't think that's on the Braves' radar. And I don't think it would be anyway, because of Bo Bichette's likelihood that he's going to move to second base eventually. I don't know. I mean, that's probably the simplest option, but I think we might see a little bit more trades than in the past. Maybe not for us, but just as an overall, I think that's where the moves are going to come. A lot of them. But I mean, we need a starter probably, and some bullpen. So we got a big shopping list. I just don't know how it's going to come about, because we never know anything about Alex Anthopoulos and how and what he's viewing, and how he turns over every rock. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of names that we're not even thinking of probably. And it might be a whole different bullpen, because with Pierce Johnson and Tyler Kinley's option declined a couple of weeks ago, that's obviously a philosophy thing, and or they could want it on a lower number type of thing as well. So it's not all that surprising. I mean, it is surprising just because, yeah, congratulations, Toronto, for the comeback player of the year. I'll take my glasses off so I can read. Read the yeah. I mean, we've collected on the awards. Matt Olson getting the Gold Glove. I'm really again happy with Walt Weiss. I think it's interesting because I have no read on what the roster could be and what even we're. I mean, Alex Anthopoulos said we're looking for shortstop, starting pitcher, and obviously a lot of bullpen. And a lot of bullpen is very out there in terms of what it could be. So again, it's just gonna be a lot of creativeness, I think, and different names that were. I would love Pete Fairbanks, the Rays reliever. He got released on 11. It was an 11 million number for the Rays, and you know how they operate. I would really love that. Robert Suarez would be nice. I would even love Iggy back on some certain number, but again, I'm not really sure what angle we're going, but I'm really excited for it. And I heard the Rays are thinking about Brandon Lau as a possible listening to offers for him as well. So that's also a possibility. So and apparently Blake Berhalter didn't have any options, and I wasn't aware of that. So that the unprotection part makes a little more sense there. Um, so again, people are surprised, but knowing this a little bit more information. Waldrop? You mean Waldrop? Uh, yeah, Waldrop will probably be a big factor in the rotation next year. Uh, Rick Kranitz probably because of he might have wanted to retire. Plus, just it feels like a new philosophy type thing. Um, yeah, I think Kirsten Waldrop will. I think Kirsten Waldrop will play a big factor. Also, we have a little bit of a swing people in our pitching staff right now. Ronaldo Lopez and Grant Holmes. They can be both starters and relievers, and I'm not sure which way we want to go with them necessarily too. So I think there's a lot of intriguing options, and it's also cloudy, but cloudy in a good way because there's a lot of potential ways you can go with it. And you've also got J.R. Ritchie on the rise as well, our top pitching prospect, and you know how well our top pitching prospects have done lately. I mean, I feel like the Rick Kranitz thing, I wanted him to return, but I think it's nice to have new blood. And I think with his family stuff that he had to deal with a couple of years ago and things of that nature may have played into it. Now, if he wants a job, I think he'll get it right away. I think that highly of him and what he did with a lot of our guys, I really appreciate. But I think it was just time with Walt Weiss and getting new blood. I think it made a lot of sense in that regard. Christopher Morel, the outfielder for the Tampa Bay Rays, got DFA'd along with Jake Fraley. He was with us for a bit, but he had a 3.4 $3.4 million contract hit if we took it, so we didn't offer him, and he got DFA'd by the Rays. So there's a lot of movement, and there will be even more tomorrow with the non-tender deadline, or Friday, I believe that is. Yes, the Braves still have Profar. They have Profar for this year and next year. It was a 3-year $42 that he signed last offseason, and he will be around. He will be around unless some trades transpire, which I think a lot of trades will happen this year, and just different type of things. So that's I don't think that's going to change. I don't think Marcel's going to come back. I don't want him back. Not because I don't like him or anything. I just think it's time to move on. And Drake Baldwin and Sean Murphy feel like a pretty good 1-2 punch, assuming that Sean Murphy's obviously healthy. So that yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting how we attack it the off season, given that everybody's so anxious because of how last off season went and a lot of things fell apart, so to speak, with Jeff Hoffman, Tanner Scott, and some other things that didn't happen. I think people are just anxious, and there's not been a lot of total moves or any of that, and it's kind of obviously we're all anxious because you want new players and different things on your team, but also it's got to fit for everyone. Yeah, I think Spencer Strider will be very effective, coming off of injuries, and trying to figure out what you are after the injuries. That's a process, and I think that it's very likely that that's going to happen. So, and I really hope it does, because Spencer Strider is such an important cog to our rotation and our staff, and the leadership of it. And he cares so much. So I really hope that happens. But I'm just trying to take the off season day by day and not try to overreact to non-movement or overreact to certain things, because you just never know how it's going to play out. And I really want us to make moves and make us talk about exciting things, but we have a pretty darn good team right now. The foundational pieces, yes, there needs to be some more depth and versatility, but it's not exactly a straight line to how you make that happen. And it's gotta work for both sides, the player, the organization. And I think that, again, what happened last year, or the lack thereof, has everybody twisted in knots and worried about certain things. But you just kind of have to let it play out, and I'm really excited to see that and see how it plays out in the rest of. That is really awesome, Charles. Congratulations, and yeah, great for you, your family, and all involved. That's always a really deep commitment, and I'm happy that you're happy about that choice. Um, So I think that um, I think that I think that the Braves are in a good spot. I think that, like I said, I would prefer us to move on from Marcell Ozuna. I think I would love to see how we're going to work the bullpen, because typically in Alex Anthopoulos' tenure, he has kind of worked from back to front, but knowing that we need a shortstop really, really bad, and probably for a good 2 to 3 years, two max three, for as we wait for our shortstop prospects to progress a little bit more to being MLB ready. So, if I go by that logic, Ha-Seong Kim is the perfect maybe fit. We were paying Ozuna 16. It was, what do we sign him, 4 years, 64, so it was 16 per year, which for his production and the amount of contracts and how contracts have escalated over the years, that's actually a pretty darn good bargain. So, and I'm not if we bring Ozuna back on like a 1 year deal, 12, I wouldn't exactly hate it, but I just want some new I just want some new flexibility where you don't necessarily you can DH Ronald one day if you need to or something. Just not a straight DH. Now, if we wanted to go swing huge for Kyle Schwarber, I'm not going to sit here and boo-hoo. I don't want that at all. I mean, if we want to sit here and go big swing for Bo Bichette and he says, yeah, I'm not going to do that either. I'm going to be super excited, but it's just going to depend on the contracts and how things go and the cultural fit and all that stuff. Even though Alex Anthopoulos hates those words, those things are super, super huge for what we do. Now, I would love like a Freddie Peralta from Milwaukee, and since Brandon Woodruff accepted the 22 qualifying offer from Milwaukee, Jeff Passan reported that it's more likely that he's traded. So that would be awesome to me. I've always loved Freddie fastball, and I think it would work. But again, I'm not exactly sure what the pitching philosophy and the type of pitchers that Jeremy Hefner and JP Martinez like. Who? No. Marcell Ozuna is a free agent. Marcell Ozuna is gone. Marcell Ozuna has to re-sign with us. No. That was last year. Marcell Ozuna did not get traded because he used his no trade clause, but that is over. Marcell Ozuna is not Marcell Ozuna is not on our roster, is currently a free agent. He can sign anywhere. Yes, Drake Baldwin is amazing. I'm so happy that he won the Rookie of the Year. Very, very happy about that. And kudos to the Pirates for offering Josh Naylor $80 million. He ultimately went back to Seattle for 5 Bo Bichette. No, he already rejected the qualifying offer, so he can go anywhere. We would have to give up a draft pick, for Bo Bichette. – That's right. But I don't think. – 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 I don't Bo Bichette's also a free agent. He rejected the qualifying offer. We would have to give up a draft pick, though, if he were to sign with us, yes. But he is a free agent as well. Sorry, my wires got crossed. I always, I kind of jump subjects, and my apologies on that if I misspoke. But yeah, Bo Bichette would be amazing. I just don't see it with the number plus his likelihood of going to second base very, very soon. Just a guess. Let me check and make sure there is no other news. Real quick. I was kind of surprised that Zach Gallen did not accept the qualifying offer. But he's probably looking for a change of scenery. That's a guy I could see maybe the Braves kicking the tires on, so to speak. He just had a rough end to his Arizona tenure. JJ Bleday was just DFA'd by the Athletics. I believe Spencer Schwellenbach will be ready for I believe he'll be ready for spring training because Alex Anthopoulos said recently that he is pain free. I'm sure they'll slow play it a little bit, but I'm pretty sure he's on track for a healthy spring training and a full spring training, from what I know. So that is good. I think Grant Holmes is also yeah, no soreness, correct. Grant Holmes has also been throwing off a mound and doing his off-season routine and workouts and things of that nature, so that's good news. The only other thing about Joe Jimenez, we will not know more until January. The knee continues to be bulky, so that could put a wrench into the bullpen again. I mean, we have some prospects. Laura, I think he's going to make a big impression, a big factor for the back end of our bullpen. But I think, as Alex Anthopoulos said, a lot of relievers. Smith-Shawver will not be a factor in 2026. Tommy John, he will maybe be a factor again in 2027. We'll have to wait and see. But that's just a no. But yeah, the bullpen is in flux, and it'll just be interesting how we tackle that. Like I said, Alex Anthopoulos usually tackles a team from back to front, but now with the shortstop need and some other things, it might be a little different. But not all too surprising in certain moves and things of that nature. And but again, the non-tender deadline could open up some more opportunities. And I don't even know who's honestly a non-tender candidate for us either. So that'll be very, very interesting to follow. Most definitely. I keep saying tomorrow, but I think it's Friday. So there is a ton of possibilities, a little bit of angst, but that is how. And unfortunately, the MLB offseason is pretty slow in um, in its moves, just because I don't know exactly why, but there's a lot of, obviously, because they're choosing their livelihood and where they want to be and how, and their families and lifestyles and all that, and the team fit, and I guess it's more involved, it feels like, for baseball, because you want your role, and you obviously you want to be comfortable and everything. So I think it may be more involved because it's 162 games in 180 days. So I think that's a definite big factor as well. So I think uh, it's so quite interesting, but it's also I hope so. But Ozzy's had two wrist issues in the last 3 seasons. And I don't know. I wish he would swing a lighter bat because I think that would help. But I think so. I mean, I think he has more time to kind of recover from this one, given that it happened so late in the season. Obviously, we picked up his $7 million option because I feel like that's just a no brainer in terms of clubhouse and what he does bring. But hopefully, he can just kind of find a rhythm quicker. Yeah, we did pick up Ozzy's contract. So hopefully he'll find a rhythm a little bit quicker and be able to trust the wrist a little bit more than he was able to. Because I think wrists, Austin should be back for a healthy spring training. As far as I know, they haven't really reported anything, but I think we're all square there in terms of when and when he'll be back. Um, yeah, so I think we're all good with Austin's injury recovery and things of that nature. So I think yeah, obviously health is always the big key for everybody, um but definitely for the Braves, but obviously we've got a lot of holes and a lot of interesting things to follow. Obviously the Brian Buxton of it all um is still up in the air, given you don't know exactly what the Minnesota Twins plans are. Um it has been reported that um Boston Red Sox will trade either one of Jarren Duran, or it's probably too early to say fourth or fifth starter, honestly, because I don't know if Ronaldo Lopez is healthy, but I would say Waldrop factors into one of those spots. Um, um, so yeah, it's way too early to play fourth, fifth starter thing because I don't think the roster is complete, um, and by any means. But I think that Waldrop is definitely going to probably be one of those, unless something falls off a cliff, um, or there's an unfortunate other injury, or I mean, because you've got Grant Holmes, Ronaldo Lopez, J.R. Ritchie could play factor. Yeah, through this year is Chris Sale. So we're good there. But I mean, I think you have to take everything that Alex Anthopoulos says with a grain of salt. In that we never know what he's actually working on, because when we acquired Sean Murphy, we didn't technically need a catcher, but then you found out that a lot of our pitchers didn't like throwing to William Contreras, so that factored into that. So there's always wheels turning and different things that we are not privy to. So, I mean, there's always those factors for sure. And it's one thing about being a Braves fan since Alex Anthopoulos has taken over. You always got to stay on your toes. No, Pierce Johnson. If he, it depends on if Chris Sale wants to continue pitching. They probably do it. They would probably do it by a year basis, kind of like we did with Travis d'Arnaud, until we. Pierce Johnson is not currently on the roster, and Aaron Bummer is. Aaron Bummer is kind of the one that's interesting to me because it's a $9.5 million roster hit. And it's important to have multiple lefties and different things, but I didn't really like how Snitker utilized Aaron Bummer. So if Walt Weiss and company can find a better way to utilize him, hopefully Aaron Bummer can get back to what he was a couple of years ago when he literally only allowed one barrel, which a barrel is over 105 miles an hour. Off the bat, it was only one. He's one of the more unlucky pitchers that I've seen in a Braves uniform. So as of now, Aaron Bummer's on the roster, but I don't know if we would change that. Again, there's so much up in the air and so much possible change and different things like that. I don't know, but it makes it exciting, and I wouldn't be surprised if you see a trade involving Aaron Bummer, maybe, because 9.5 is a lot for a lefty reliever that has been kind of really iffy. But again, the role that he was put in by Brian Snitker wasn't my favorite. So if we can find a sweet spot, because probably our most consistent and effective. Nope. Iglesias is not on the roster. He's currently a free agent right now. So, like I said, that is why the bullpen is probably it might have a lot of new faces, and a lot of different guys. It might be a lot of different guys from our farm system. It might be from trade. It might be from signing. There's a lot of quality relievers that are free agents right now that could fit perfectly in the Braves uniform. But again, with Jeremy Hefner and JP Martinez in the fold, I'm not exactly sure what their ultimate preference of reliever and pitch type and pitcher type and personality and all that stuff, that all goes into it as well. So I'm saying a lot of I don't know, but also trying to give you my perspective on a lot of things. I hope we'll, as the Castmac Tuesdays go further, hopefully we'll have actual concrete news to talk about, and how the rosters continue to evolve throughout baseball, just in division, and not just the Braves, but just those type of things. So I'm really intrigued about how everything could go. Obviously, I hope we take a couple of swings and add some bigger names, maybe. And I would love to have Iggy back, but it would probably be on a 12 to 16. I have always been a Michael Harris believer, so yes, for sure. And you saw the signs of last year. I think sometimes you just get buried in a bad year, and you're just trying to dig yourself out of the holes. And baseball is such a everyday sport that it can just kind of snowball on you, whether you want it to or not, type of thing. So yes, I think that Michael Harris will have a bounce back year, and we need him to, because I really don't think you can run Nick Allen and a struggling Michael Harris and a struggling Ozzie Albies back out there next year. Obviously, you're going to have Acuna for the majority of games, however that plays out. And you're going to have Profar for the entire game, the entire season, you hope. So there's a lot of different factors there, but I just think you can't have a couple of seemingly black holes, whether you want. You just have to have all your spots in your lineup feel like they're going to give you a chance. And at points last year, Nick Allen was amazing defensively, but it's just not the guys that he's competing against in center field. And however the metrics play out, that's why he hasn't. Like Brendan Doyle for the Colorado Rockies has been amazing, and honestly, I don't know how they measure those type of awards. So that's probably why it's always subjective. But I think the whole body of work kind of plays into it as well. But Michael Harris, I believe, is going to be fine. He's still only 24, 25, and there's some. Careers aren't always linear. You're gonna have ups, downs, roller coaster. Just try to find that consistency. And I think he's gonna just come in with a refreshed mind, a fire. I think the entire roster, whatever the roster is going to look like, is going to have an extra fire, because I think people are forgetting this is the first time we missed the playoffs in 8 years. And that doesn't feel good for any of us, fans, players, front office, everybody involved. You don't want that. So there's an extra fire and an extra want to and an extra, but you also have to weigh the present versus the future all the little factors. Eli White, yes, is currently he is currently still on the roster. Again, a lot of things could change as they always seem to. But yeah, I really like him too. The role he carved out was nice. And I think you could see that helping and happening again with Jeremy Hefner's connection to the Mets and JP Martinez is to the San Francisco Giants, and there's a lot of former twin flavor on our staff, so that could factor in some of the free agent moves that we eventually make or not. So we will see. And again, that is just speculation, but people are going for comfortability and familiarity. So that is something that could play factor for the Braves as we continue through this offseason and continue to shape the roster. Ozuna's gone. It'll probably be Sean Murphy and Drake Baldwin as of now, but again, we could add some things there, and you could also see Ronald DH sometimes as well. That's why I don't think Marcell exactly fits that role anymore, because I think you need some positional versatility and some times where Ronald can stay off his knee and just hit and worry about that, especially in the places with turf and things of that nature. It's harder on the knees. So I think the roster and positional flexibility would help in that regard as well. Yeah, but until we get a couple of puzzle pieces. Thank you. I try to stay creative with the hats and the headgear and the glasses until we get a couple of puzzle pieces, actual roster puzzle pieces instead of like the depth pieces that we've picked up so far this offseason. I don't think that anyone knows exactly, except that Austin Riley, Matt Olson, Ronald Acuna Jr., Jurickson Profar, all those guys, we know what they're going to do. We know what Chris Sale is going to do. We know what Spencer Strider is going to do, Spencer Schwellenbach. But the rest of it is very wide open and up in the air, and it's scary yet exciting, yet scary because, again, the way last offseason went with the lack of moves and the lack of additions for multiple reasons. But this is the first time we haven't made the playoffs, so there's a different. Yeah, Georgia did whoop Texas. They're hitting their stride. I don't really have a college football team. Actually, my college football team is the Charlotte 49ers, and that is pretty ugly right now. But I do enjoy college football and just watching it and being Switzerland and watching the good games and things of that nature. But I think I think a lot of moves and a lot of things are going to pick up. So I'll definitely have everything covered, and just going to be really excited for however it does play out. And same for the college football playoff, same for a lot of things. Well, yeah, I would think that you're a Braves fan if you're on a Braves podcast or a Braves live, whatever you want to call it. So I think that it is a very slow off season, but once things start moving, uh, I think it's gonna be very interesting, and it's gonna be very interesting to watch things play out in spring training because Drake Baldwin took his opportunity and ran with it last year and forced the Braves to make a decision. Obviously, the Sean Murphy injury opened things up, but that could happen again. That could happen again next year. You never know who is going to become a massive factor in your roster, and that's the great thing about sports, and that's the great thing about covering it. And I really think Laura is going to be a big factor in our bullpen, and I really want him to be. He should be in the Hall of Fame. Will he get there? I don't know, but he should be because he basically transcended defense in center field and defense in general, making defense cool. And he had over 400 homers. He did it all, and I don't know why he's not. Maybe the latter part of his career, bouncing around a little more. Maybe that played factor. I'm not sure, but yes, I think that Dale Murphy and Andruw Jones are Hall of Famers. But that's not up to me. And writers are so subjective, and all of that. So you play that plays big time. But I think, and I mean, and even personal grudges, as weird as that is, that plays factor, and it shouldn't, but sometimes it does. But yes, in my mind, Andruw Jones is a Hall of Famer. I mean, because Michael Harris even has said he has Michael Harris the second said he's watched Andruw Jones in his game and what he does and what he did for just defense in general in baseball and things of that nature. So he's been an influence for a lot of people. So, but I'm gonna make a prediction right now and say that the Braves make a surprising trade for a shortstop that we're not even thinking of right now. And I'm gonna see if I'm right, but Corey Seager could be an interesting name as well. He's a little older, but Corey Seager's still been very consistent when he's been on the field. I know he's been brutalized a little bit by injuries of late, but that could be interesting. I don't know if we would be willing to take on that money, but that's an interesting name I've seen dancing around for the Braves at shortstop as well. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't given us a reason not to. I know last year again the money of it all and whatever, but that's different factors, and players still have to players still have to agree. It's always a two-way street type of thing, and you never know. Um, so, but I was just checking to see if there was any other bigger news, and not really. Um, but and I try to get these things to an hour, so I got a little bit more time. Um, um, oh yeah, Chris Hill. I will never doubt Chris Hill in any capacity. And honestly, if he didn't get hurt last year, he probably would have competed big time with Paul Skeens. Um, I know he had a rough start to the year, but yeah, you never put anything past Chris Sale. You really don't. And I think that Ronald could compete for the MVP again because the last time um, the second the second year off a major injury he went absolutely bonkers. So I wouldn't put that past him either. But with so many, obviously, you know, the Dodgers are going to reload and whatever they do, they do. Um, it's just going to be interesting to see how the free agency plays out for everybody, kind of just to see the landscape of baseball. But I think we have a lot of momentum with that amazing World Series and things of that nature. So hopefully we can carry it that way, and the Braves will have a big time say in what I have no idea how Bobby Cox is doing. Um, I only know when people report on it, so I have no idea. But um, he's he's still around and doing his thing. I do know that. I know he struggled with the stroke that he recently had, but or not recently, but the stroke that he had and how he deals with that every day. But yeah. I mean, I don't ever know anything about Bobby Cox unless somebody reports it. So I guess the no news is as good as it's gonna be there. But yeah. But I can't wait to talk about actual moves and stuff when it happen. But you just gotta patience is a virtue with the MLB offseason and how it plays out. But I think we'll get a lot of moves the tail end of this week, and we'll dissect those. Well, yeah, I mean, social media makes everything. Um, you got to be careful with everything, obviously. But just you always got to stay on your toes for sure. For sure. Yeah, I mean, the last couple of years, everything and anything has gone wrong. So you would think the Braves are due for some good breaks and back to our winning ways. That's for sure. But you never know. Sports always keeps you on your toes, and you never know what's gonna happen. There's always surprises. Um, there's always disappointments. Luckily though, we still had some good moments last year. Drake Baldwin um, being the main one, Hurston Waldrop's emergence being probably the other main one, but uh, everything else you could probably just chalk up to annoying, and we'll see what happens. But there's a lot of reason for optimism and a lot of reason for hope, for sure. And again, health is the main story for that. Um, and um, again, just being able to watch us every single day. I know it was frustrating a lot and annoying, but being able to turn on the TV and a lot of baseball on every single day, that was always great. And it gives you something to watch every day for 6 months. You hope 8 months, and longer if needed. But that's always a awesome thing. But I think that is officially all I have. Um, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Helps out a lot. See you guys next week. I'm sure there'll be a lot more news to break down, and probably some actual moves of significance. Obviously, I post every move, whether it breaks the internet or not. Some of the smaller moves or the moves you don't make may turn into the diamond in the rough type of moves uh, that you look back and say, "Oh, that mattered," and it wasn't even a blue notification from the Braves, but we'll see how it goes. Can't wait. And I know it's early in the off season, so there's a lot to be determined and a lot to play out for everybody. And hopefully everybody stays healthy and is getting healthy and is on track for a bounce back and amazing 2026 and beyond for that matter. But as always, go Braves. Champions forever. Thanks a lot, guys. See you next Tuesday. I'm probably going to stick on here until it gives me an hour, just because that's the standard of what you like to do for longer form conversations. So but the fact that I was able to get almost an hour when there has been really not a lot, that kind of helps things. So, but these will get longer as more news and things pop off and all of that. But 4, 3, 2, 1, an hour. See you guys. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thanks. Helps out a lot.